Agus Yudhoyono is running for Jakarta's highest position 2 years after his father Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono ended his decade-long term as the country's president. The 30-year-old former army major is challenging Christian Governor Basuki Tjahaja Purnama, better known as Ahok, an ally of current President Joko Widodo. Ahok is on trial for insulting the Quran when he questioned the use of a verse which deals with non-Muslim leadership. His lawyers say they have evidence that former President Yudhoyono urged the Ulama Council, Indonesia's top Muslim clerical body, last year to issue a religious ruling. Protests followed and then a police investigation resulting in the court case.
We asked the chairman of the Ulama Council in court if it was true that on Thursday, October 6, Mr. Yudhoyono called him at 10:16 a.m. to ask if he could receive his son Agus and release a religious ruling against the governor's blasphemous comment. We know that Agus was received the next day and the ruling was issued a few days later, so the timeline is very clear.
Former President Yudhoyono has denied he made such a request, and his son says accusations his family sponsored the protest are unfounded.
Because a lot of different groups are trying to frame that those rallies are supported by me and my group, even my family. That is absurd black campaign for sure, because I've never had any time to create or initiate such event, such a huge event.
Jadilah pemimpin yang amanah.
This campaign is not just for Jakarta's highest office. These elections are seen as an important stepping stone for next presidential elections 2 years from now. A political battle that has not only pitted President Joko Widodo against former President Yudhoyono, but it's also seen as a challenge to Indonesia's secular political system. A Yudhoyono win would be seen as a victory for conservative Islamic groups who have rallied for the blasphemy case against Ahok. Human rights groups say that under his father's presidency, such cases and violence against religious minorities increased significantly. The writer of a book on Yudhoyono's presidency agrees.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would make that argument, that he encouraged all this. In fact, I recently talked to a retired army general who said, "What's going on at the moment?" He said, "You can trace that back." And I said, "How far?" And he said, "To President Yudhoyono." He says he's responsible for all this.
The latest polls show that Agus Yudhoyono is trailing third behind Ahok and Anies Baswedan, a former education minister. To win, a candidate needs more than 50% of the vote. If needed, a second round is scheduled for April. Vassen, Al Jazeera, Jakarta.